Happy Tuesday, my friends, and welcome back to another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm your coach, your host, David On Point Huffman. There's my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And on today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be previewing the NBA trade deadline. Because before you know it, it's going to be there like that. We got two days before the NBA trade deadline. A lot of rumors swirling around the National Basketball Association. We're just going to talk about some stuff going on, some teams that should make a trade, some players that need to get traded, and then me and TJ have come up with our own fake trades, and we're going to decide if who says no on each individual trade. And TJ, I made sure not to look at your trades as I built these graphics for this show. So I am going this kind of cold. I haven't really seen your trades. You have not seen mine for sure. So that's part of the fun.
I have not seen yours.
Yeah, so we're going to get into it, but let's talk first NBA trade deadline. A little bit of a damper on it with latest injury news in the NBA, with Zach LaVine now being done for the season and Joel Embiid being out for probably a month, maybe more, as he has a meniscus tear and has to have surgery on it. He will no longer be eligible for the MVP, but that's a conversation for a whole nother time. But what is your excitement level for this particular trade deadline?
Just the usual, like it's kind of like what we saw like last year, or not last year before last, with the whole Harden saga in Brooklyn. It was like
or the Kyrie Irving saga.
The Kyrie Irving saga. Like it's just not as drama filled this year. There's no disgruntled star. There's nobody like demanding a trade like it was the last 2 years, right?
Yep.
Like this is just like more so, quote unquote, back to normal. Like you got big names. You had a guy like Zach LaVine, who's been in trade rumors for the better part of 2 years now. Let's be honest.
I mean, and the Bulls, they came out earlier this season, probably around November, and they talked about finding a trade partner for each other. That seems completely off the table now. I think it'll be interesting to see what Philadelphia does as we get closer to the trade deadline. Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's first start with individual teams, and then we can go to the players. Let's talk about teams that will definitely make a trade before we get to the deadline. You got a team, TJ, that'll definitely make a deal?
Definitely no, because let me tell you something. When I was cooking up in their trade machine, it was hard. Like the teams that need to make a trade, they can't. Like the teams that need to make moves, the Lakers, the Warriors, like teams like that, they can't. They have no money. Their money's all tied up. Like I can't tell you how many times I tried to do a trade involving the Warriors, and it's like failed. Warriors exceed cap, Like it just
because they're in the second apron, their ability to make trades is so limited. Like they have to mix every dollar in order to make any deal happen when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. But yeah, it is difficult. I had a hard time with the trade machine too. But I think there are four teams actually that will definitely make a trade as we get closer to the trade deadline. I think the Dallas Mavericks. I think they have some players. I think teams would want, whether it be a Josh Green or a Jaden Hardy on their roster. That I think they can entice to get another veteran on this roster, kind of complement Luka and Kyrie Irving. I read a stat that like earlier. I don't know if it might have just been fake news that I read on Facebook. That the Mavericks haven't won a game since like December that Luka hasn't scored over 30 points.
That as fake as that sound, that probably sounds real. Like
I'm like,
that's
man,
how
no
it is.
way.
Like no, like you gotta think about it, bro. Like Luca, quiet as kept, right? Everybody talks about the numbers that Joel Embiid is putting up, and respectfully so. Luca's like right there. Luca's like averaging like 35. Like the
Yeah,
month
I mean,
of
he had a 73-point game. Like,
like
hold on.
Luca, yeah, like Luca was putting up buckets, man. Like it's crazy. Um, it's I think I tried to cook up a trade with um, Dallas and Charlotte, sending Miles Bridges to Dallas, but that didn't work
Man,
out.
I like that fit if we can make that happen. But
Like it just like I don't know, like just the parameters around it didn't work. So I think it didn't work on the Dallas front with their money and how that shit lined up.
yeah, so they're in the second apron too, so they're difficult to make a trade. Then I got three others. I got the New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Charlotte Hornets. I think the Charlotte Hornets have been it's been a long time since I think they've known that they need to trade away Gordon Hayward. They already traded away Scary Terry. I think there is a real market for Miles Bridges, who's having the best year of his career. He does have a lot of control over where he goes. He basically has a no trade clause because of his bird rights that he basically can decide if he wants to get traded or not. The Lakers, just because they're the Lakers, I think they need to shake up this roster a little bit, even though they have played better as of late. And the New York Knicks still have 4 first-round picks actually in this upcoming draft. They have some other players on their roster I think that could entice some players. And the Knicks, I mean, it's laying out for the Eastern Conference for them to be one of the better teams in the NBA, right? Like, the Bucks look as beatable as ever. The Sixers are now Joel Embiid is hurt. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty outside of the Celtics in the Eastern Conference, and the Knicks with the right trade at the deadline, they could easily vault themselves into finals contention.
Yeah, a team like the Knicks would have been like Zach Levine would have been perfect for a team because like I said, because they have the tradable assets. They also got guys that's buried on the bench. I think one of my you'll see one of my trades. I actually cooked up a trade between the Bulls and the Knicks, and I like it. I don't think it'll happen because of what the Knicks will have to give up for the player, but like that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun.
100%. Yep.
And the Bulls, like we gotta say, like the Bulls need to make a trade. Like it's unfortunate, it sucks, but you're what you call it. I just don't like how they're comparing this again. You're comparing AK and Mark Eversley to Garpax. Talking about, oh, it's just, like they're worse than Garpax. Like, no, Garpax had 20 years. They like 20 years. You can't compare 4 years to 20. It's not.
I mean, the Bulls have only made one trade since the Vucevic trade. One.
It's not fair. It's not fair. And Garpax them used to make trades just to say, "Hey, we did something."
It's true. It's true. Swinging into these are the teams that should make a trade. I got a couple for you. I'm just going to rattle off the 5 that I have written here. I got the Atlanta Hawks. I think that they definitely need to shake up their backcourt or front court. I can't remember which one is which. But trading DeJounte Murray or Trae Young needs to happen before this deadline. The Milwaukee Bucks needed something to change in their roster. They needed an insurgence of just something else. To spice the trade that I didn't put into the trade machine, like my trade segment, I would almost love to see them try to like get wild and trade Chris Middleton, pick up the phone and be like, hey, Houston, would Chris Middleton and some draft capital be enough to get Jalen Green from you? And I think that they needed some youth, some different. The roster needs to be shaken up a little bit. It's just not looking good there for the Milwaukee Bucks.
They play Phoenix. They play Phoenix tonight. On TNT. They had their second game on TNT. You're 1-3 since hiring Doc, and
he's gonna coach in the All-Star game. I know that's not his fault; it's an NBA rule, but
it's ridiculous. Even he said, "Yo, that's ridiculous." Like,
I mean, if they had just waited one day before making that announcement, the head coach of JB Bickerstaff, right, is still the head coach of the Cavs. Like they're the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, right? They're 15-1 in the last 16 games.
Yeah, he's like, yo, that's ridiculous. But kudos to him for being like, hey, all that stuff's going to. I'm gonna get all that stuff to Adrian Griffin.
I didn't even know you get a ring for coaching in the All-Star game.
you get
I
something.
know. There's a bonus and you get a ring. That's what the reporting is.
Teams
Back
that
to shoot.
should make a trade. I think DC should make a trade. I think all the bottom feeders should do something like sell all your assets, whatever you have that you deem valuable, sell it. Like Charlotte, San Antonio. Well, obviously San Antonio. Everybody not named what you call it, Wimbenyama, but Charlotte, San Antonio, Washington. They're not a bottom feeder, but still Chicago, Atlanta. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? Who am I missing?
I mean, Detroit. I don't know if you mentioned
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, oh yeah. Detroit.
Detroit. I mean,
Um,
the Trailblazers, the Memphis
Portland.
Grizzlies. Like,
Well, Memphis kind of. I think the tough part with Memphis is you
I
have
mean,
you have 13 players.
they've already started to kind of. I still don't understand that Memphis Grizzlies Houston Rockets trade at all. So, and then I got
From either side, I think
I get it on the Memphis side. You shed some salary. You get some expiring deals for a long time. But Steven Adams isn't going to play this season. Like he's not going to help you play. Like make a push for the playoffs. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And then I got the Kings, Timberwolves, and Nuggets. I think when you look at the layout of the Western Conference, I just think that those three teams shouldn't just rest on their laurels. Yes, they're good teams now, but I think that they need to make a deal to really push themselves to the next level and stay in contention. Because the Nuggets, they won the finals last year, but they kind of feel like they're treading water a little bit, and they're just kind of coasting through the regular season. I would love to see them make.
You can tell they. I'm trying to think because like they had a key guy off the bench last year. He's gone now.
Bruce Brown. I mean.
Oh yeah. Like you can tell like they miss him like in certain aspects. Like they miss Bruce Brown. Yeah, they even like Ish Smith was a key contributor for them last year in certain aspects. Yeah, I can see Minnesota. I can see Denver making some kind of.
I don't know what Minnesota has in the war chest left to make any deals because of the Rudy Gobert trade, but I think they still need to upgrade that roster a little bit.
Well, Minnesota, it's they got like it's their secondary guys, so like, they would have to trade a.
I mean, Jaden Daniels
yeah, they would have to trade guys like them, and I just
Kyle Anderson, Nicola Alexander Walker, Jordan McLaughlin, Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson, who I don't know what his trade value even is at this point. Troy Brown Jr., Shake Melton has no trade value whatsoever. Luka Garza, probably the same. Leonard Miller, who's still in his rookie season. I just think that they need to get one more piece to really solidify this roster. And maybe they try to do that at the deadline.
Yeah, I just think because of like this is what if you're Minnesota, for that reason alone, because like this is what you envisioned your team to be, and it took a minute for it to come to this. Like everybody laughed at you for giving up 5 first rounders essentially for Rudy Gobert.
I mean, it's not really 5. It's
it's
like
5.
It's 3 first round picks and some swaps. I mean,
it's 5. It's Walker because like the pick that was used on Walker Kessler, that's a first round pick. Correct. It's 5 first round picks. So it's but yeah, people laughed at that, and we talked about it. They was like, "What you asked? Will this work?" I'm like, "No, this shit better work." And you're talking about like currently constructed, they're number 1 in the West.
Actually, they're number 2 in the West now. They're tied with Oklahoma City. There must be some sort of tiebreaker between those two teams.
You're top 2 in the West, and everybody's talking about like, all right, first round matchup. You're probably going to win that first round matchup depending on who.
Probably, if things were to shake out the way it shakes out right now, you get New Orleans.
Dicey. And if you're
they would match up against New Orleans if the playoffs were to start today.
They'd win that. They'd win that.
I agree with you on that.
They'd win that. And if you're hearing like, oh, second round, that's when things get a little dicey. You don't want to hear that.
No, you don't want to hear that. You may potentially get the Clippers or the Dallas Mavericks in the next round. So, or Phoenix, Clippers or the Phoenix in the next round.
And if you're Minnesota, you're like, yo, I don't want to hear second round elimination. I want Western Conference Finals, something like no, because if you come up short, if you lose in the second round, if you lose in the second round to like a guy like a team like the Clippers, which is not a bad thing because the Clippers are fucking good. They are really good.
Really good.
But if you lose to the Clippers and you come up short, that's not a good look for like the stuff you gave up for the guy you got in return and the season you're having. Anthony Edwards is my MVP. Dude is like not just MVP, David. I'm picking Anthony Edwards as the next face of the league.
I can
That's
see it.
that's
I mean,
the guy. Like that's the guy who gonna get the keys when LeBron say, "Hey, I'm done." It's gonna be
he's also the future of USA basketball. So
like,
I
yo,
definitely don't disagree with that.
him. So like, I just don't, but I don't see Minnesota making the trade because like the cohesiveness they got now with the guys you just named, I think they're gonna see how far they can take this and then try to make a move.
I agree with you on that. Let's talk about the teams that won't make a trade in the deadline. I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to go Chicago. I just don't think they're going to make a trade. I think they've kind of fallen into this rut where they just continue to run this back. I think that now that the Bulls have been playing better, Kobe White is probably the most improved player of the year, as we talked about in the group chat. I mean, they're the 9th seed right now, 23 and 27. I don't think they're. I don't. I'm not sure. Their ceiling is probably what they are, but I just don't see them making a trade. I've become so desensitized to the Bulls and doing anything that makes me super excited. I just can't get into it. So
I don't think the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers gonna make the trade.
That's interesting.
No, one the assets that they have. I think no one wants outside of D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell is actually he playing good basketball right now, so he's it would just look dumb for them to move him. Um, yeah,
I got another one. I got the Golden State. I think Golden State, when it's all said and done, all of their players will be on their roster. I just don't think you're going to be the GM that breaks up a team that's basically been a dynasty for the last 10 years. I don't think you want to be I mean, that's a lot why Bob Myers walked away from this job. The Warriors, I think they stink, and they really need to trade away some of this stuff and like try to build towards the season because they're wasting a very good Steph Curry season. But I just don't see it. And I'm not sure. Like, I think that their players on their roster are more valuable to them as a Golden State Warrior dynasty than they are like to other teams. Like, they're going to overvalue a Klay Thompson based on what he's meant. That loyalty does not exist if he were to go somewhere else. Same thing with Draymond Green. If Draymond Green, not to mention he's not as good as he used to be. Same thing with Klay Thompson. He's for sure regressed a little bit. But this is a Warriors team that definitely needs to trade away those older players, and they just won't.
yeah, it's almost like it's criminal for them to like wear another team's uniform that's not a Warriors uniform.
Like, people want Klay Thompson to retire as a Golden State Warrior, but they also want him to retire tomorrow. Like,
I think that's people killed Jerry Krause for blowing up a championship winning team, right?
yeah,
But Jerry Krause, that's the ugly part about being a GM. You as a GM, you have to see when it's over. I understand the players' standpoint, like, hey, let us keep playing, let us until we lose, we the champs. Like, let us go out on our own terms. Like, you don't get to say, like, you don't say, hey, this shit is over. Like, I don't care what y'all like. They wanted to chip, and Jerry Krause said, all right, thank you. You're done. You're out. Phil, you're fired. And that was that. Bob Myers
Bull fans have hated him ever since.
and Bulls fans have hated Jerry Krause ever since. Bob Myers probably did want to say, "Hey, this thing is on its last leg, not legs, leg."
Yeah, I agree.
And probably want.
I don't think you want to be the guy to break up the dynasty. But we've seen what happens. You get your wife gets booed at the United Center for absolutely no reason whatsoever by some trash ass Bulls fans. Moving on. All right, I got the Pelicans on here too. I don't. I would be shocked. I would be really interested to see like a Zion Williamson trade at some like, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this Pelicans team, like they have a season where they're finally healthy. I think they want to ride this out and maybe make a decision in the offseason if they want to continue with this format. They're currently like the fifth best plus or minus in the Eastern Conference, fourth actually. So they're winning a lot of games and they're talented. But I just don't think they're gonna. And they still need a legit point guard, but I don't think they're gonna make a trade.
I think the team that should, I forgot to add, the team that should make a deal is Miami. I think an Andre Drummond would fit great in Miami. It also allows Bam to slide back into his natural spot as a four. Bam is not a five. Bam's not a five.
He doesn't play five in any other era besides this one. So
besides this one, like dudes are like they need a legit big in Miami. But the problem is who on your like what assets do you have? Like the assets that you got only embody Heat culture. Because it's like if I'm Chicago, like no disrespect to him, I don't want Hayward Highsmith.
Yep.
Right? I don't want Jamal.
He doesn't have a ceiling. Like he is what he is. Like he's probably not getting any better.
Right. I don't want Jamal Cain. I don't want those undrafted guys that come out of nowhere, but they're only good in a Heat uniform. Like, I don't want those guys. No disrespect to those guys, but like if you're an NBA player, you're supposed to be like, hey, I can play on all 32 teams.
Yep.
Not just say I'm good here.
From the teams, let's talk about the players. Some players that will definitely get traded before the Thursday's trade deadline. I got three of them that I think are for sure going to get traded. It's DeJounte Murray, Kyle Kuzma, and Bogdan Bogdanovic of the Detroit Pistons. I think those three guys are on their way out. DeJounte Murray, basically, if they don't trade him before his extension kicks in this offseason, they're stuck with him because there's no way they can trade him after that. Kyle Kuzma's having a really solid season. They're just not winning a lot of games. I think he'd be a good piece on a team that's competitive. We saw what he did when he was on that Laker team. I think if you're the Wizards, this is the reason you re-signed Kyle Kuzma so you can get something back for him. And then Bogdanovic is just one of those just wasting away on that Pistons team who can help a team this year.
Yeah, no disagreements with those names. Same with Malcolm Brogdon. You hate to see a guy like Malcolm Brogdon in Portland not playing for anything. Malcolm Brogdon has known nothing but postseason basketball since coming into the league. Right, this is a second round draft pick. I forgot where he went to school, but he goes to Milwaukee, and it's playoffs.
Was it Virginia?
I don't know. I don't remember where Malcolm Brogdon went to college.
University of Virginia. How about me knowing something?
Like Malcolm Brogdon has postseason success. That's all he knows. That's literally all he knows. He's been in the playoffs more often than he hasn't. And yeah, Malcolm Brogdon just sitting there in Portland. It just don't sit right with me. I can honestly see, like I thought that Portland would like buy him out.
I thought so too, but he's so valuable as a trade asset, and he's got 2 years left in his deal, not one. So it's buying out players that have 2 years left in their deals is messy.
Wouldn't it be ironic if Milwaukee traded back for him? Because
I could legitimately see that happen. I
tried to cook up a deal with him to Phoenix because I'm like, yo, that would be great. Like,
yeah, but no way to get that done. Let's swing on to the other side. Players that need to be traded but won't be. I mentioned it earlier. All the Bulls, like I think DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, even though he's banged up right now. Alex Caruso. I don't think any of those guys get moved. Even though the Bulls should hit the reset button on this.
From what's being reported, like they are asking for a lot from
2 first-round picks. Two
for
first round
Alex.
picks for Alex Caruso. No
And
disrespect to Alex Caruso, but I'm not giving up
don't
2 first round picks for him.
the
Just
the hell you will. Yeah, you will. Like, do you know how many do you know how many playoff teams Alex Caruso can help? Can you imagine Alex Caruso on the
yeah,
Knicks?
yeah, I know, but like I just don't think he's worth 2 first round picks. I could be wrong. And I might
I
be
think
wrong tomorrow if like he ends up getting moved for 2 first round picks. I mean, crazier things have happened, right?
like if I get a first in 2 seconds, I might have, because of like this. It's not like this is the NFL where you can say there's 7 draft picks. I mean, there's 7 rounds. Like if you get a player a first in 2 seconds for Alex Caruso, you might have to say, "Hey, Alex, thanks, man. It's been real, but I got to take that deal." Um, oh wait, I tried. I even tried to cook up a deal for Vooch, and I couldn't. Like, cause I couldn't. Like, I just couldn't find a suitable partner. I couldn't find a partner for Gordon Hayward, which is
Yeah, me
weird.
either. Me either.
Which is weird. Like, it's so weird how this shit works.
Yeah, money is complicated in the NBA. And then I got two more. I got one of the guys actually is on this list, but is actually involved in one of my trades. It's Tyler Hero. I think Tyler Hero. I think he could use. I think the Heat should try to trade him to see if they can get other depth. There are other places on their roster, but I don't think they're going to do that. I'm not sure
I'm
what
the
Tyler. And I'm
same.
also
I'm the
not
same with
sure
Duncan
what
Robinson.
Tyler Hero's value is to other teams. Like, what do people think? What do people? How do people view Tyler Hero as a basketball
I'm
player?
I'm the same with Duncan Robinson. Because I obviously he's the easier of the two of those guys to move because of his contract.
Yeah,
I legit think this is the last year of his deal. Um, that being said, I think because like it's the same thing with Duncan Robinson. Like if he's not hitting shots,
Tyler Hero. No, he's not. Duncan Robinson is in the last year of his deal for sure, but
that's
Tyler
all.
Hero just signed an extension.
That's what I was talking about. Duncan Robinson. Like if Duncan like last year, Duncan Robinson kind of showed that the like growth in his game because it used to be, hey, just make the ball on the floor, and he's essentially the flow of the offense. Last year, Duncan Robinson was like, okay, you want to come up on me? Hey, I'm going to get past you and lay like, hey, I worked on this. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, he
Oh,
played really well. He played really well in the playoffs. When Tyler Hero went down, he was super valuable. But yeah, I just don't think either of those Heat players get traded. I also have all Warriors on this list as well. Not all Warriors, but the big pieces that we're going to talk about: Draymond Green, Klay Thompson.
Klay
I just
Thompson.
don't see a reality where those guys get, and Andrew Wiggins too. Because I don't think anybody wants Andrew Wiggins right now. He's having his worst season of his career by far.
Jonathan Kuminga has played himself into untouchable. Like it used to be, hey, like let's trade Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody for Levine and Vooch and see what happens. Jonathan Kuminga, since he got his haircut, has averaged like
Oh
25
man,
a game.
that is like the most ridiculous. Like,
Like no, like wait, no,
I know, but the internet is like, who keeps track of stats like that? Like, it's just crazy.
like, but but it's like at one point in time, like Warriors fans were actually like, "Hey, yo, let's do this," because like you said, bro, like Steph ain't getting no younger. Two, Steph is like he's the engine. Like we've seen three 60-point games this season, right? Three of them, right? All three of them have lost.
Yeah,
That's the first time ever. Like we saw Cat get 60. Steph is the most recent one to get 60, and the Warriors lost. Like, so imagine how Steph feels like, damn, it used to be I get 60 and we win by 40.
yeah.
Like I get 60 and we lost the game, bro. Like
They lose in overtime to the Hawks. I mean,
that ain't sitting right in my soul. Players that need to be traded but won't be. You even got dudes like Stephen A. Smith campaigning for LeBron to the marry to the Knicks because of all the stuff the Knicks have. Like,
we talked about this. I mean, the East is as open as it's ever been. And if you're like on the fringe and like you're like, you know what, let's go for it. We'll see. We'll talk about that next year in a minute. Let's get into some trades. Let's get right into it. TJ, because you had more trades than I did, you will have the first trade.
wow.
Yeah, I got 9. You got 11 or 10, something like that. Or I got 8. Um, So here's how it's going to work. You're going to propose the trade to me, and I wanted to say if I think this trade would go through, and if not, who would say no. The resolution on the pictures you sent me for some reason was a little janky, so it's maybe hard to read. But we got the first trade here, Bulls. We got THT of the Utah Jazz going to the Bulls along with 2 first-round picks, and Nikola Vukovic goes to the Jazz, and his rest of his 2-year contract. TJ, sell me on this.
So the logic behind it is strictly from Chicago standpoint, right? Like it's again,
I mean, for Chicago, it's a done deal. But I'm running up
right,
to the.
it hasn't worked.
How does this even work money wise? Like,
I don't know. That's why it was so goddamn surprising. That's legit. That's what was so surprising.
I think it's because Nikola Vucevic's contract extension hasn't kicked in, so he's going to be making a ton of money next year, I think.
And so obviously, okay. Can I just say one thing before we get into this? I am, other than the Clippers, I have never seen a team get derailed by one player injury.
Yeah.
The way the Bulls have, right? Like, and usually with the when it happened to the Clippers, one guy got hurt, and then another guy followed suit. Like, so, like if Chris Paul got hurt, then give a month or two, Blake Griffin would get hurt, or DeAndre Jordan would get hurt.
Even in the new era of Clippers, I mean, you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both miss time,
both miss time, and so on and so. With the Bulls, bro, one player gets hurt, it's like it derails the entire gravy train, right? They had to rebuild with the baby Bulls. Kirk Heinrich was never supposed to be the best player on that team. It was supposed to be Jay Williams.
Yeah.
Jay Williams got hurt, killed the whole train. Derrick Rose killed the whole train. They never recovered from Derrick Rose getting hurt, right? Lonzo Ball gets hurt, never recovered.
But I will say there's no way in hell the Jazz would make this trade. The Bulls would do this immediately. The Jazz, I just don't see it. Like, they have a lot of bigs already on their roster, including John Collins and Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. They don't need another 30-year-old big on their roster.
But this is one of the things I'm seeing in Utah with, okay, you have a lot of bigs. Who's to say they don't? Who's to say they don't make moves at the deadline? Who's to say they don't trade Kelly Olynyk to a contender?
Sure, but I mean, we're operating in a world where their rosters stay the same besides this one swap, and I just can't see it. Even if they were to trade away Lauri Markkanen and John Collins, I just don't think they would go this way. Like, this Jazz team is, yes, they've played better as of late, but they're not really competitive. Like, they're a borderline playoff team in the Western Conference. Like, no disrespect. From yours, let's talk about mine. My first one has Kyle Kuzma going to the Rockets for Jalen Green, Jeff Green, and Jock Landale. Kyle Kuzma goes to the Rockets. You put him at the 4 as the starting lineup. Jalen Green has been a fine player, but he just is very inefficient. And eventually, this Houston Rockets team is going to get expensive. I think that they have to pick which of these players they want to prioritize. And I think Elbrin Sengun is probably the guy who would prioritize over Jalen Green. And the Wizards, I think this is a home run. You get a guy who was a top 2 pick a few years ago who can score. You tear this down to its bolts. Kyle Kuzma, Jalen Green is the best return you will get when it comes to player-wise in a trade involving Kyle Kuzma.
The only way I see this happening is if Ime Udoka goes to the front office and says, I need, I guess, more maturity is the word he would use. But if I'm Houston and I got to give up Jalen Green to get Kyle Kuzma, this is what I call a last resort trade. I'm not trading Jalen Green unless I absolutely have to. And I understand your logic behind, hey, he's inefficient, this, that. But at the same time, it's like you drafted this dude to be the new face of the new era of Houston Rockets basketball, right? I know Udoka and I understand the move, right? Like the logic, because like again, this is a guy like he inherited a vet heavy Celtics team,
Yeah,
right? So like he inherited vets, maturity, all guys who understand what it takes to win and all that other good stuff. And you kind of see it in like their free agency moves. You get a Fred Van Fleet, vet,
Jeff
no
Green, Dylan
Jeff
Brooks.
Green, Dylan Brooks. Like it's like so he knows what he wants. Like so now you just need these young dudes to like I guess play catch up. I guess is the term because it's like hey
I guess it depends what the Rockets want to do here. Like, if they want to make the playoffs this season, I think Jalen Green is a very win later piece. Like, I just don't think he's going to be the best player on a championship team. I think Alberto Sengun has a higher ceiling than Jalen Green. If you were to do a redraft right now, I think Sengun probably would go before Jalen Green in a redraft.
well yeah because at the same time one guy's 7 foot,
Yeah,
the other one's not.
baby Jokic over here.
Like so, like bro, like real talk. Before we go to the next one, I saw a video of this high school coach. Right, he's talking to his team, and he has them like he spreads them out. He's like everybody 6'4" or shorter, go to the right, go to the right. Six like he's like 6'4" to 6'6", like 6'5" to 6'6", right here in the middle. 6'6" and taller go to the left. He had one dude who was 6'7", two dudes who were 6'4", and 11 guys who were 6'4" and shorter. And he's like, y'all paths to success are different. Who's gonna have the most? Like, who's gonna like get the most opportunities? The most? Da, 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 da. The guy that's 6'7". Why? Because you can't teach 6'7". You can't teach
Mm-hmm.
height. Al Prince Shagun is 7 foot tall. That's why, like all those years, I was talking about Pokuševski and OKC. I'm like, dude, the guy is 7 foot tall. The guy's 7 foot tall. And it's like, and you're like, no, he's a bust. He's this. He's that. I'm like, but the guy's 7 foot tall.
I mean, a bust is a little bit extreme, but probably a bust is probably the right word for it. I see at this point.
Yeah,
Two TJ's trade suggestion number 2. We got the Brooklyn Nets with a trade with the Miami Heat. Duncan Robinson, Thomas Bryant, and a second round pick for Nick Claxton.
I like it. Again, if I'm Miami, you need size. Like you are super small outside the guy's name Bam Adebayo, outside the guy's name Kevin Love. And when Bam goes,
I know Thomas Bryant doesn't play for them, but this seems like a lot to give up for Nick Claxton.
oh, you gotta keep in mind, I'm the Nets. You have the piece I want. I mean, like you got the guy I want. I they I'm asking for what I can
I mean,
get.
but this is the expiring deal that they're gonna have to pay next offseason.
It's Pat Riley too. Like, come on, man.
It is Pat Riley. I think getting out of Duncan Robinson's money is and Thomas Bryant, to be completely honest with you, is almost worth taking the dice roll on Nick Claxton.
Because I'm kind of disappointed as to why Thomas Bryant doesn't like. I don't feel like I kind of feel bad for guys like Thomas Bryant who show like guys like him, like they've shown they can play and play good at high levels. But then they get on certain teams and it's like, hey, I'm gonna bury you on the bench and you're not gonna see the like you're only gonna see the floor here and there.
But I will say, I think if I'm the Heat, I still think this is too much to give up for Nick Claxton. I think Duncan Robinson and a super in the future second round pick is probably enough.
What's so much? So you just don't get you just take Thomas Bryant off?
Yeah, I still think that's too rich. I don't know. I think Duncan Robinson would be enough for Nick Claxton. I just don't think you need to add the second round pick and the Thomas Bryant. I would say no if I was the Heat. If I was the Nets, I would probably make this trade. You're gonna have to pay Nick Claxton this offseason. You probably don't want to. This way, you get an asset for him, and Duncan Robinson you can flip later. Thomas Bryant may have some value. Second round pick is a second round pick.
But second round picks have gotten new value, right? Because
I mean, I guess. I mean, because
yeah,
you
like
draft a guy who's an MVP candidate.
like
Second
like
round.
like, like second round picks have gotten new. Not just a guy like Jokic, right? You got a guy like Io who goes in the who slips to the second round. And it's like Io's a valuable commodity in today's
Oh,
NBA.
yeah, but then you have teams trading like 7 second round picks for random players, and like they're just their
Now
value
that's
is all over. Like their value is all over the place.
now that is to me, now that's egregious. That's ridiculous. Like, hey, we finna trade six for you know some future dude and da 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 da. Da.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that irks me.
To my second trade here, and it's between the Chicago Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers. This is pretty simple. D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and a 2029 lottery protected first for DeMar DeRozan and his expiring contract. I'm not sure I need to sell you this. This is the trade. DeMar DeRozan would
Obviously,
elevate the ceiling of the Lakers. And the Bulls, if they're not going to re-sign DeMar DeRozan, D'Angelo Russell kind of fits into that point guard hole they have. Rui Hachimura is a wing that can help them win now.
yeah. Obviously, I think it's it's looked at as a win-win for both teams. I just think people really fail to understand if you're a guy like DeMar, if you're a guy like Zach, if you're like we saw this, like any team that goes to a LeBron led team, your entire game style of play changes. Here in Chicago or in Toronto or in San Antonio, the ball is in DeMar's hands, right?
Yeah,
He goes to LA. The ball not in his hands. He's not getting the same shots. He's not getting the same opportunities. And when he goes like he's averaging 20 whatever here, if that drops down to so like
and it will. I mean, you're playing with Anthony
and it
Davis and,
will
and
like
LeBron.
like he's going there and Laker fans thinking they're going to get a guy that's still giving you 25, 27 a game. No, that's going to drop significantly to 18 to 20 on a nightly basis, and then
Yeah,
Laker fans are going to be upset because they're not getting the same scoring output that he was given in other places. Not understanding like I have to sacrifice my game to play with LeBron James. I have to do that. Like if you're the Lakers, I mean if you're the Bulls, hell yeah. Like I feel like the key, the key grabbing this is that first round pick. That's what you really want. Like that's what, and you got a guy like D'Angelo Russell who, once again, in my opinion, like feels a need at point guard to an extent. Like I think Kobe White, a what his NBA point guard is. It's a great job at
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think if I was the Bulls, I'd want the lottery protection taken off that 2029 first round pick. But I think this is a win-win trade for both teams. Um, I think it's one of those trades that I think that is probably inevitably going to happen at some point in some capacity before the deadline. To your third, let's talk about it. We got Miles Bridges going to the Houston Rockets for Jock Landale and Jason Tate, a young player who still has some upside, and a second-round pick via Golden State in this upcoming draft. I actually think this is a trade that is pretty reasonable. Jason Tate is a pretty young player still. You're gonna have bird rights over him. Um, but you sell it on me, TJ. Tell me on this trade.
Again, it's a vet guy in Miles Bridges. He's been around for I forgot how many years now. He fits what I think he fits the Ime Udoka mold, right? Long, rangy, 6'7", stupid bounce, has turned himself into a respectable three shooter. You cannot leave. This is not the Miles Bridges from 2-3 years ago. You cannot leave this dude open. Like you can't. Like he will make you pay. If you give him an open, he'll light your ass up. He will do it.
Yeah, efficiency. He's having his best season across the board. All his percentages are up across the board. He's played more minutes than he's played. He's also averages a scoring average for basically 7 points a game. I'm not sure that even with that, I'm still not sure this is enough for him, Miles Bridges. I think they can get a first round pick for him.
Okay.
And I think if there's a first round pick out there, I think that would be a better deal than two pretty serviceable players and a second round pick. Um, Miles Bridges will also have to waive his no trade clause. I'm also not sure if he. I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Well,
like this. I like this trade on both sides, though. I
I
think it's a
think
pretty good, solid.
I think he waives his no trade clause to go to a place like Houston. You got to think about it, like Texas, no state taxes. So all
Yeah,
that,
and he would get bird rights to Houston, so they can go back over the cap to re-sign him as one of their players. Again, this roster will get expensive, but Miles Bridges seems like a player who's worth it. I like that trade for both teams. We'll see. To my third suggestion, it involves a bunch of stuff. Not a bunch of stuff, but
this one. I like this one.
so it has the Trailblazers and the Magic swapping players here. It's Jonathan Isaac going to the Blazers, Jet Howard going to the Blazers, and Malcolm Brogdon going to the Magic. The Magic need a legitimate point guard.
They need a playmaker.
And they need somebody who's a proven winner to like elevate the ceiling of this roster. They have jumped back into the play-in. They're the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, but I think that they need like that veteran presence on this team to stabilize those young players. And Malcolm Brogdon's been there, done that. Jonathan Isaac is a player that I have no idea what we're going to get from him in the future. He's got another year left on that contract. Portland can have him there, see if he can find his game again. And Jet Howard is a young player who doesn't play much for the Magic right now. Get Malcolm Brogdon.
Son of former NBA player Juwan Howard. I again like if Jonathan Isaac one it's just still just great to see him on the floor playing.
Yeah.
Like that goes without saying. That's the only reason why he's movable. I think had he not gotten hurt, he'd be untouchable. I don't think they wouldn't move off him for all the first.
I think also the fact that the matter is like Paulo Percaro and Franz Wagner have kind of replaced him.
They got they got the park those two dudes, and again like you're replacing Isaacs. That's a 6'10" small forward, long range. You can defend. Is a goddamn nuisance. Is annoying as all hell for an opposing player. Like guys like DeMar DeRozan who love to play the mid range game. They hate when Jonathan Isaac because they can't shoot over the top of him.
Yep.
But he goes to a team like Portland. Hey, bro, no expectations. Just go hoop. Jet Howard, go. You really get a chance to hoop. Malcolm Brogdon, again, you're going to be playing, hopefully, meaningful basketball. Miami, Orlando has fell off precipitously since the start of the season. Like they went from top 3 to like I think they're the
7th seed right now.
In the that play in. That can't happen. That cannot happen. I think I tried. I even tried to cook up a trade for Cole Anthony and I couldn't find him.
The Magic, because of the way their contracts are structured, it's tough to make a trade with them. But yeah, I like that this trade a lot. I think it would be a win-win.
I like
for
this.
both.
This is a win. This is a win-win for both teams. I like this one.
Moving on from mine, let's go to TJ number 4.
The one thing I've noticed with your pick, with your trades, is I'm not seeing a lot of draft capital being. I haven't seen not one draft capital.
There's some. Don't worry, we're getting to it.
I said yet. I was going to say you like you finished. All right, go ahead.
To the next one, we got the trade between the Portland Trailblazers and the Sacramento Kings. In this trade, the Blazers get Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, a 2025 first and a 2027 second in exchange for a 2025 first from Portland and Malcolm Brogdon.
Come on.
I like it, but I'm not taking the basketball out of De'Aaron Fox's hands. But I do think they can play off ball together and kind of just solidify that team there with the Kings. On the Blazers side of this, I think Kevin Huerter is a fine player. The only thing I'm really excited about getting is Davion Mitchell, but you already have a ton of guards there with Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons. I don't think Portland would make this trade. I don't think it improves their ceiling enough. to get rid of.
I'm going
And their first round pick in 2025 is going to be way more valuable than the Kings' first round pick in 2025, prospectively. Assuming.
I'm going into this with the mindset of, because like you said, they do have a lot of guards already. I legit see them, like, if they, let's just say this goes down, right? I think they can flip Davion Mitchell for something, and they can damn sure flip Kevin Herter for more.
Yeah.
So if I'm Portland, I'm not. This isn't a final trade. If I'm Portland, I'm looking. I'm trying to flip this because, again, I'm trying to bury Davion Mitchell more than what he already is. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't see Davion Mitchell a lot in Sacramento. Like, when he does play, and I could be wrong, but like I definitely saw him play more last year than I have this year. And somebody, like, I don't understand how players just fall out the rotation like that when you haven't really made significant roster changes like they haven't really changed the thing in Sacramento.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I mean, I think they've lost a few players, and like in the offseason. I think like some of the players in their rotation last year.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. He just doesn't get playing time. I don't think they really. I like him as an asset, but I'm still that first round pick swap.
That's
in 2025. I just can't make that deal. Like, if you want to just give me your first round pick and we get to keep ours, and you just get Malcolm Brogdon, I think I would make that trade. But I'm not trading my 2025 first round
pick. Like that.
we're like expected to not be good next year either. We're talking about a lottery pick in 2025 for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay. No, you're right. Don't trade on my part.
Moving on from yours, let's talk about my number 4 trade, and it's 2 players straight up. 1 player straight up. It's Tyler Hero going to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Bogdan Bogdanovic, who has a player option for next season. The rationale here is the Pistons, if you want to just collect players that are getting cast off from other teams, Tyler Hero is one of those kind of players. I'm not saying that he's a cast off, but Bogdan Bogdanovic is the guy who gets just an absolute bucket getter. He's an expiring contract, so that he can get off of his money and can potentially add another piece this offseason if they wanted to. It's a 1-for-1 swap. Tyler Hero from Bogdanovic.
This is a lateral move. I don't like it. Nothing irks me outside of just trading. This is just that.
It might be. No, it's not. You get out of Tyler. You get out of Tyler Hero's long-term money. It allows you to have some cap flexibility next offseason. And if you're the Pistons, you just get a player that maybe could be helpful to you.
It 100% is that, bro. Like, this is the definition of making a trade just to make a trade. And Pat Riley don't make trades just to make a trade, just to say he did something, bro. This is a lateral move. Like, the player, you have a younger Bogdan Bogdanovic, bro. Like, you have a younger him in Tyler Hero. Actually, you have a better version because Tyler Hero can ball on the floor and playmate. Not saying Bogdanovic can't, but he can't do it to the level Tyler Hero can. They can run their offense through Tyler Hero. Come on, man. Like, this is a bad deal. This is a bad deal.
Okay, all right, oh, man. Woo! Man, all right. So TJ's out on my trade position number 4, but I like it. So
I'm all the way out, bro. This is not good.
Moving on from my trade number 4, let's talk about your number 5, and we got the Bulls and the Sacramento Kings on the clock here.
Okay, one. This is not going to happen. It's not just because Keegan Murray is involved. This is not going to happen.
I'm not sure that's the only reason that this trade's not going to go in. It's Kevin Herter, Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell, 2 first-round picks, and for DeMar DeRozan, who's on an expiring deal.
Again, if I'm Chicago, I'm asking for everything I can get.
This would be everything.
And this is everything you can get. And once again, if you're a young team like the
Sacramento doesn't even take this phone call.
They do.
No, they don't.
This is what you call it. This is so like DeMar DeRozan, like, he would be a better version of. That's not fair. He would be what Harrison Barnes can't do. Like you can't go to Harrison Barnes down the stretch and say, "Get me a bucket." Like
It's true. You're
if
not
it
wrong in that respect.
like if it's a game where De'Aaron Fox just doesn't have it, like he's 8 for 25, which can happen. It's the NBA, it can happen, right? It's just not happening. Like he can't hit the ocean if he was standing on the beach. Sabonis is having a bad game. You need the one dude to slow things down, get you a bucket, give it to DeMar, the hell out the way. Who? I think the fan in me says, "Hey, make this goddamn deal yesterday." The realist to me is like Sacramento's not taking this call, like you said.
They're hanging up the phone after you said Keegan Murray and 2 first-round picks. They're like, nah, we're good. 2 Mavs trading assistant number 5. Let's move a little bit faster through these. My next one is doozy. It's the Hawks and the Spurs, and DeJounte Murray goes back to the Spurs, and they basically send back that first-round pick. One of their first-round picks from Atlanta that they gave originally for DeJounte Murray. They also get Doug McDermott and Trey Jones in order to make the money work. Doug McDermott is a good off-ball shooter that can play with Trey Young, who's still a good passer. He's double-digit assists. But this is the Spurs being like, hey, we need a point guard. DeJounte Murray and Victor Wembanyama could be a really good pairing. Also, this would be like the first time in NBA history that something like this would ever happen, where a player gets traded to a team, and then they get traded back a few years later. DeJounte Murray go back to the Spurs, man, where it all started, where he was an all defensive NBA player who has not been even remotely close to that since he got to Atlanta. Who says no?
Oh man, you're right. No one.
No one?
No
Another
one? No one. No, no one says no. Is what I'm saying. You like San Antonio, for whatever reason, those guards just don't pass when
No.
at the ball.
True, dude. It's ridiculous.
When they're supposed to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Wemby could be wide open on rolls, and he'll throw that slender man arm up, and it's just like, dude, just throw it to the hand. Like it's not gonna get stolen. Just throw it to the hand. And they just don't do it. Like they miss him on so many, it's ridiculous. DeJounte Murray has, I hope, the battle IQ to be like, hey, throw it to the 7'4" guy.
Yeah, right, yeah. I like this trade a lot, actually. I actually stole this from one other YouTuber on YouTube, but I think the structure, I think it's really clever. I think the Spurs this would be a home run. Like Atlanta, you get your 2025 first-round pick back. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, let's be real. Like in Atlanta, it hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked, 100%. 2 trade suggestion number 6 for TJ. We got Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, 2 first-round picks, and a 2028 second for Malcolm Brogdon. Let me hear it, TJ.
All right, so I'm doing this under the notion of one, Tibbs. I can't run Jalen and can't I learned hope. I just can't do it. I'm asking a lot from him to begin with Julius Randle being out. All right, so longer Julius Randle is out, the more I have to play him, the more his shoulders to get us there. Eventually, he's gonna hit a wall, and we've seen Thibodeau players hit that wall. It's ugly, it's not pretty, it's painful. We saw it, we saw it. Like it sucks. It is like the worst thing to watch them have career years, and then when you really need them the most in the playoffs, they have nothing left. So if I'm making this trade with the notion of I gotta have somebody else that can make plays, not named Jalen Brunson. We saw it against the Lakers. They double teamed him on 30 plays. They in the fourth quarter, like, hey, anybody but Brunson, get the ball out of his hand. So you can't do that if Malcolm Brogdon is setting up shop, running and running the show.
With that being said, I think this may be too much draft capital in this
Oh
particular
my god!
trade.
No, no.
But
What if you're
but
the Knicks? What are you gonna do? Just hoard it all?
I mean, they got 4 first-round picks in this upcoming draft. 3 of them are not their own. I would rather give up one of those picks than my own in 2026. I actually really like the framework of this trade. Outside of that one extra first round, I think one first and a second round pick way in the future, that would be enough. I think to get Malcolm Brogdon. Evan Fournier is just a salary cap dump. Quentin Grimes still has some upside. You can probably still develop him. I actually like this trade a lot. I think both
I
sides.
also did this on the every four because everyone is a salary. I like again that's a buyout. Hey dude, go sign anywhere. Like just sign with someone that you can where you can finally play. I don't know why Evan Fournier doesn't play. Me and Izzy have been on that train for I don't know how long now. Like
I agree. To my number 6, and the next 2 are doozies. You ready, TJ?
Yeah. Whoa. Wait. Who is that? Joe Harris?
That is Joe Harris to make the money work. James Wiseman to make the money work. The real gem here is Jay Nivey.
I need draft capital. I need something.
I mean, you're trading a damaged player. Like this is a trade before the deadline. I think if you're the Pistons, you understand this is not about this season. This season's over. Zach LaVine will help you next season when he comes back from his injury.
Exactly. So if you're I'm sorry to cut you off. So if you're Detroit, you're looking at this like, hey, in the future, I'm gonna have Cade Cunningham. I'm gonna have Zach LaVine, Jalen Duren, and
I will admit this is kind of selling something for 3 cents on the dollar, right? But I mean, if you're able to get off of Zach LaVine's money and you get a player with some upside still in Jay Nivey, and if you want to try to see if there's anything there with James Wiseman for that final part of the season here, I would roll the dice on that if I'm Chicago. Joe Harris is probably a buyout player. This would be a super aggressive move by the Bulls, and it would really simplify that this era of Bulls basketball is for sure over. I think that this is one of those reaching for the stars thing. There's no way the Bulls would make this trade. I also don't think the Pistons would make this trade.
I think the Pistons.
But it is fun to think about. That's for damn sure.
It's like it's funny because in Christian Sports Group there's a Pistons fan, and we all like from the way that he types and the way that he talks, we know it's him because in Christian's group you can post anonymously, and bro, we know it's you. Like there's no need to post anonymously. But he said like the Pistons are better off than the Bulls, and Bulls fans like, bro, y'all can't even win 10 fucking games with the talent that you have. Yeah. How are y'all bet? Like, yeah, long term you can say that. Like long term, maybe, because we don't know. Like, again, we expect y'all to be, I don't know, not 60-40, and.
I think I don't think that would be an absolute like you'd have to tear up you'd have to trade everybody away if you're Chicago if you make this trade like within either this offseason or before this trade deadline. But it is fun to think about Jaden Ivey as a Bull because I've been wanting that for a long time.
That would be exciting. He can play.
And I gotta be honest with you, TJ. When I was looking at your number 7 trade suggestion, I don't understand this trade at all. You're gonna have to absolutely sell it to me. It's that Phoenix Magic trade.
This one?
Damian Lee going to the Magic.
Oh, I didn't mean. Okay, so
pick.
check it out. I didn't mean to send that one.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, I don't no idea what's going on with this deal.
because like when I made it and it went through, and I'm like, why did that go through? I'm like, Phoenix ain't getting nothing in return. All right, so this trade was.
Never mind. All right, cool. I was like, man, I don't understand this trade at all.
I'm like, why did that work? Like,
let's just go to number 8.
Yeah.
Davion Mitchell going to the Chicago Bulls for Alex Caruso and a 2025 first-round pick to Chicago. Yes, this is a home run trade.
This is realistic, and it's realistic.
This is a home run trade, in my opinion, for the Chicago Bulls. You get a young asset who still has some upside who can really improve your defensive side and play point guard, and you'll have bird rights over him for restricted free agency stuff, and you get a 2025 first. Love this trade.
and it's realistic.
It is realistic.
That's the big.
You want to leave the world of realism for just a minute, DJ?
Go ahead.
Are you
Wow.
ready? My trade number 7 is this.
I hate you so much. But this is the point. This is the point of the episode to cook up whatever crazy things we can come up with.
No, this is the crazy. This is the craziest one. The whole shot, because the one after this is pretty tame. Um, Evan
No,
Fournier, Mitchell Robinson, Dante DiVincenzo, Quentin Grimes, and 2 first-round picks, including one from Dallas, in this upcoming draft. It's probably not even close to enough draft capital to actually realistically get this done for LeBron James and Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is in this trade because you're trading away a lot of your wing depth here with Quentin Grimes and Dante DiVincenzo, and even Evan Fournier, who doesn't play. Cam Reddish can be a guy that you start at the shooting guard position. That gives you a starting lineup of Brunson, Cam Reddish, was it Tyler Heitenstein, Julius Randle, and LeBron James as your starter.
Isaiah Hardenstein.
Yeah, Heidenstein. Yeah.
Okay, I think if Mitchell Robinson wasn't hurt, just like let's just entertain this for like 2 minutes. If, if Mitchell Robinson wasn't hurt, and because of the right now draft capital that the Lakers would get, that's a 2024 in this, right? That's two 2024 first round draft picks. If you're the Lakers, like one, Mitchell Robinson allows AD to play his natural position because one, AD hates playing the 5.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely hates it. So Mitch Robinson allowed to go right back to the 4, where he's a dominant 4. He's allowed to be AD. If you're the Knicks, you get what you've been longing for like the longest time since Patrick Ewing. You get, and I take it back, since Carmelo. You get a star in the Garden. No disrespect to Julius Randle. No disrespect to Jalen Brunson. You are like y'all were not the stars that Carmelo Anthony was for the Knicks. Sorry, like be real.
No,
They're not. So if you're the Knicks, you're like, hey, we get LeBron. You already sell out because it's the Garden. You get
but I think at the end of the day, the Lakers say no. This also feels like not close to enough draft capital for LeBron James. Like, if I'm the Lakers, I'm like, hey, you know how you guys have 4 first-round picks in this upcoming draft? We're gonna need all 4. We're gonna need all 4. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna need all 4.
Moving on from there, let's talk about your next one. Involves the Chicago Bulls and the Sacramento Kings. We got the Chicago Bulls getting Kevin Huerter and a first-round pick for Alex Caruso. I also like this trade, TJ. I think that this is realistic value for Alex Caruso, a wing that you can play right now in place of Zach LaVine. You can probably try to trade in the offseason, and a 2025 first. Yeah, this is a trade that makes a lot of sense to me.
And it's also he also gives the Bulls something they desperately need, and 3-point shooting. The Bulls for like the last 5 years or so have been one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. And I understand Kevin Huerter is one guy, and it's real easy to key on one guy to like take his 3-point shot away, but at the same time, you still need it. And I was like, you're losing something defensive, like you're losing a lot of stuff with Alex Caruso. You're losing basically what Chicago embodies: that heart, that hustle, that that grit, that grind. You're losing that in Alex Caruso. But at the same time, you also gotta that's like you said, you have to understand when this shit is over, and the shit is over.
I like that trade. And then to my final trade suggestion, TJ.
Batum, Covington, and a first to the. No. Oh, okay. This is wow. I don't see this working. On the simple fact that, but first off, you're gonna have Patrick Beverly and Draymond on the same team.
Yeah, come on, bring it on. Let's bring the chaos. Come on. I mean, if Joel Embiid is his season's not completely over, I mean, Draymond Green, Joel Embiid is your power forward and your center. It doesn't get much better than that. For Golden State, you get two expiring deals, so you get out of Draymond Green's money. You get some meh draft pick, which is probably going to be the Oklahoma City pick or whatever that happens in 2026. For the Warriors, this is all about getting out of Draymond Green's money. For the Sixers, this is pushing your chips to the middle. If
Absolutely.
Joel Embiid can come back and be healthy, this would elevate the ceiling of that team.
I am very curious. Okay, we said it at the beginning with Embiid being gone for basically a month. Philly, you have to stay afloat. Like, can you be a 500 team till Embiid comes back? You already talking about going from, I don't know where you're where you're in the standings right
They're
now.
right now the 5 seed, but they have
Yeah,
Joel Embiid hasn't played basically in 10 games, and they're 4-6 in the last 10.
yeah, you have to somehow you can't get below. You got to stay there. You have to stay in that 4 to 6 window. You cannot go. You got to stay right there. Because if you go, you're already talking about a tough matchup, right? Because if you're five, who's four right now?
It's the Knicks.
You're losing. You're going home. The way the Knicks are playing right now,
Yeah.
home. You're going home.
Yeah,
Um,
they have to keep the ship afloat. I mean, yeah, you get some. If you're Warrior, I think this is a long shot, but this is the kind of deal that I think this is the kind of the deal, the value that Draymond Green kind of has at this point.
I also think that I'm more curious long term what Philly in the offseason.
Yeah, me too.
What they do
So
at the trade deadline, to me doesn't matter. I'm more curious, like, because I'm thinking, like, yo, what happens if they come up short again? What does this team do if they come up short again? Because I think about it, like, no MVP has been held to a lighter standard than Joel Embiid. The standard right now for him is make it to a conference final. What MVP has been led to a lesser standard than that? Even Derrick Rose was like, "Hey, bro, you got to go to a championship."
I mean,
With
you got,
LeBron,
yeah.
with LeBron at his apex, the expectation for Derrick Rose as winning MVP was, "Hey, bro, you got to get to a chip. You got to get to a finals." Joel,
And then
go ahead. I'm sorry.
to TJ's final trade. We got the Bulls and the Sacramento Kings on the clock. We got the Jericho
Bulls on the
Sims and
Knicks.
his.
Bulls on the Knicks.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. What did I say? Sacramento Kings?
You
Yeah.
say,
Sorry. Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks. Jericho Sims, Summer League legend, coming to Chicago
you
along
say
with two.
Summer League legend.
It's true, man. He always kills it in the Summer League. It's real. 2 second-round picks. They get Andre Drummond for the Knicks. I actually really like this trade on both sides. I still think Jericho Sims has some upside. I know they'd have to immediately try to extend him this offseason. I think the picks are nice. Andre Drummond's not coming back next year. He'll probably be on another team. I like this trade actually for both these teams.
Yeah. Andre Drummond he's a hot commodity right now. I don't know where. I don't know what you can get for Andre Drummond. But anytime you can get a double in 15 minutes of limited play, that is, yeah, you can fit in. I still think the Lakers are kicking themselves for not bringing him back. I think Philly is kicking themselves for not bringing him back, because can you imagine right now?
I mean he's been awesome in Chicago. Let's
He's
be
been
real.
the last 2 years, yeah. Even him in Philly, like, if Joel Embiid has this injury and he goes down, you're Philly and you're Nick Nurse. You're like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine because Andre Drummond can get us extra possessions with his 15 rebounds a game. Because that's what he's gonna give us.
And I like his put him next to Julius Randle, but move Hartenstein to the bench. I actually think this is one of those win-win trades. I like the upside of Jericho Sims too. I think this is a slam dunk trade. And I think wrap it up.
If I'm Chicago, the only thing I'm asking for, maybe I'm gonna try to, if I can't get I'll take this L, but I'm gonna try to get one of those first round picks. Like I gotta try. You
I
gotta
mean,
try.
they're not really even all that valuable. So I mean,
It's not the point.
but we'll. I mean, yeah, I want, but yeah, obviously I want a first round pick. Obviously I want a first round pick for Alex Caruso. 2 first round picks if I can get it. I want a first round pick for DeMar DeRozan. But we'll see what actually ends up happening when it comes to the NBA trade deadline. That wraps up at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. We're going to run a show at 9 o'clock, just breaking down the deals as the. After they happen on Thursday, just a rapid reaction to every trade that got done at the trade deadline. Tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about the coaching carousel as the NFL, as it is spun and it is full, and Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick are left out in the cold. I'm legitimately shocked that Bill Belichick had as many interviews as he had and didn't get hired for any of them.
Um, I know what I have an idea why, but I'm gonna save it for tomorrow.
And we'll talk about all that tomorrow. Thank you very much for checking us out at Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm David Huppman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat.
Yes, sir. And I'll see you tomorrow, man. You have a good night, all right?
You too, brother.
Peace.